Hello,
Hello.
I am Madison. I'm the a digital strategist here at Key Media Solutions. And if you can't tell, I'm coming to you live from Florida today. So I figured I'd share a palm tree.
And I'm Michelle Medendorp. I'm the digital specialist, and I'm here in the office.
Yeah, very different scenery we're sharing today. So today we're gonna get into. It's kind of got a few different words that we've described it. I think traditionally it's called personal. What was the original phrase? I'm trying to think of it. But
Predictive
personalization.
personalization.
Okay,
Yes.
predictive personalization 360, really just the idea of personalizing your ads using tools available to you to personalize and really create good dynamic audiences and ad groups. And I'm going to let Michelle kind of get into the meat of what that is exactly and why it's important. And then I will go into at the end just some real world examples about how we sort of use this strategy. What we're calling data backed strategy is something that we've done a long time at Key Media Solutions, and it's something that we kind of are seeing pop up in new conversations. So I'll walk through some real world examples of how we sort of use these strategies after Michelle kind of gets us into the meat of it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Madison. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters for the modern marketing. Um, this concept is changing how companies talk to customers and how offers are delivered in a way that feels personal and helpful. But why are marketers talking about this more and more? That's the question. Well, the answer is because customers expect messages that matter to them. Generic messages are ignored. Personalized messages get attention, and predictive personalization takes this to another level. And it helps brands predict what a customer wants next. Most brands today say that they are personalizing their marketing, but often personalization is just using a person first name in an email, and that doesn't make the message more useful or relevant. Predictive personalization is much deeper. It uses customer data and behavior to predict what a person might want next. So instead of guessing what to promote this month, it asks, what does this customer need next? And delivers an offer at the right moment. And this approach looks at patterns like what a customer has bought before, how often they buy, when they like to buy, what promotions they respond to, and if they might stop buying soon. So, with this information, models can choose the best next offer, and the offer most likely to be useful and welcomed by the customer. But the real question here is, why does this matter? Well, customers today expect relevance. If a message feels random or poorly timed, people ignore it or even lose trust in the brand. Predictive personalization helps with several important goals like better conversion rates, better customer experience, less wasted marketing spend, strong customer loyalty, and better alignment with customer intent. And this means companies spend their time and money more wisely and provide real value to customers. Now, I would like to talk about how predictive personalization works. So, what happens first is that the company gathers information about the customer's past behavior, and this is what we call data collection. This can include past purchases, how often they visit the site, how they engage with email, and more. And all this data becomes the foundation for the predictions, right? Um, Next, the system looks for patterns in the data. For example, some customers might buy a replacement product after a certain time, others may respond better to reminders instead of discounts. And this patterns helps the system to understand what might work for each customer. Each customer gets a score that shows what offer they are most likely to respond to, when they are most likely to respond, and through what channels, like say email, apps, ads, etc. And finally, the activation, which is when the system sends the next best offer through the right channel at the right time, whether email, social ad, or other marketing touchpoints. This is how marketing becomes intelligent and not random. So the big idea here is that predictive personalization helps brands move from reactive marketing to proactive marketing. Instead of reacting to what happened before, brands use data to anticipate what will happen next. This helps businesses to prioritize the right customer, to reduce the message fatigue, because customers receive offers that feel relevant, not overwhelming, to focus marketing on actions that are likely to work, not just broad campaigns that may miss the mark, and to improve forecasting and planning, because data driven predictions guide true strategies. So, in short, predictive personalization not only boosts performance today, but improves how the businesses think about customers in the future. And it moves companies away from one size fits all marketing towards smarter customer centered marketing. But before we finish, I would like to um, mark here that it's important to remember that the predictive personalization depends on having the right customer data. And to understand this better, I would like to um, introduce now Madison, or transition to Madison, who will explain what um, these types of data mean and why they are so important for building effective personalization strategies.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. I'm learning more even just as we get into this, because I think we kind of do a lot of the in our company, we do a lot of the back end sort of tracking to understand customers, and it's always such a good reminder to always be using that data and really kind of letting that guide your messaging. So I kind of want to get into a little bit about how you can do this, and then how we do it as well. But I think the very first step before companies can start talking about predictive, um, um, I don't know, predictive personalization, I don't know why that word is so hard for me. But I think the biggest thing that we advocate for is really having your tracking and your audience signals down. So it's one thing to go into, if you go into whether you're doing pay-per-click ads in Google, or you're doing programmatic ads or social media, there are some predefined audiences. And sometimes people think that's all you need to do is, we're going to find somebody in this stage of, for example, we could do like home buying, right? We're going to find someone that's in the beginning, early stages of home buying, and that's all we have to do. You still want to be able to make sure you're tracking, your pixels are set up on your website, so you are understanding when that customer, when you're getting them in that phase, or maybe you're running a very general awareness campaign. You want to make sure you understand user behavior once it comes back onto your page. So understanding, are people interested in just the most general, like, first page URL, or are they clicking around to some other URLs? What kind of questions do they have once they're getting to there? Are they going to your FAQ page? Are they going to contact you? Kind of paying attention to that traffic that's coming from your ads, and understanding, letting that sort of guide that prediction phase. In this example, I'll get into some real world examples of us as well. But I think in this example I'm using here, for example, say you run just a really general, like, um, awareness campaign, and then you're starting to see that traffic is, you're in GA4, your tracking set up so you can follow sort of people coming from paid traffic. Maybe they're all going to your contact page. Maybe a lot of them already are ready to convert, and they're ready to just like give you a call and find out more information. You can make your next ad, want to reach out, here's how you can contact us. Speak to that journey a little bit, that and that's sort of that predictive part of knowing already some of those questions that they're going to have by using those signals on your website, or that tracking on your site. And so, of course, that's a little bit different across every platform, but the best thing you can do is just make sure you have at least 4 or 5 different sort of actions or conversions, or even just visits mapped out on your site, so you can understand that behavior once it comes. And that is sort of just starting to get an idea of your own traffic. You can also really utilize first party data. This is kind of the next layer of predictive audiences. And this works a little bit again or differently across different platforms. But you can use your first party data, for example, an email list, a customer list, and you can use that in platform. That's data that's been given you, with consent. You can use that and give that to the platform and say, here is an audience signal of, this is an example of our best, most core audience. And it can use that to develop a lookalike audience or lookalike campaigns to go find people that are similar. And that's more sort of on the audience base. But once you know what that audience wants, and you're using that as sort of the jumping off point of your targeting, you can really kind of use this idea of predictive personalization to make sure you know what they're going to want. You know what these users are coming to your site for. They're already converted users. So you can use your creative. You're not going to want to do just a general get to know us creative, because these are ideally people that are already a little bit more further down the sales funnel for you. And then I know we're kind of running out of time, so I'll just run through this last example because this is a super basic way that we sort of use it here. But you can use your audiences, those audience signals you build out in Google Analytics, to kind of target. You say, for example, you could do like a abandoned cart retargeting is something we've done. Or one of my favorite things to do is to create an audience of people that go and look at the informational pages on your site, but they don't ever convert. So they don't hit call, they don't hit email, they don't hit apply. So you still have this group of people that are really informed and interested. They just haven't taken that next step. And that's where this predictive personalization messaging can really come in. And you can start catering that message more towards that final step of conversion. Instead of giving them the pieces of info they already have, because they've been on your informational sites, say, give them that next level messaging to kind of help push towards conversion. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but those are some real world examples you can kind of utilize what Michelle's discussing there. And if you ever want to have more conversation about that, we are always here.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Madison, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you at the next 10 at 10.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day.